Hi. Hi.
Hey guys, Kiwi here. Welcome back to some more Walking Dead, and in this video, I'll be going over and finishing off my analysis of the character Spencer Monroe. So I've actually recently done a video going over Spencer's last moments, both in the show and the comics, comparing the two. You can find that comparison on my channel, but this video will focus more on the character building throughout both of his counterparts, including his relationships. You could technically watch both videos out of order, but regardless, I definitely recommend watching part 1, as I loved breaking down everything involving Spencer and the fact that he really did have guts. But anyways, without further delay, let's go ahead and jump into the main topic of today's video. So in one way or another, both counterparts of Spencer Monroe have tried acquiring a relationship with a significant other. In the show, it seems to have been directed towards Rosita, while in the comics it was actually Andrea. And so I'd like to first summarize his comic book relationship with Andrea, getting into Rosita a bit later. For those of you who don't know, unlike in the show, Andrea actually survives all the way to Alexandria and onward. This is just one of the many examples on how the show is completely remixed from the comics, having characters live different lives and get different deaths. Speaking of which, I'd also like to mention that Spencer's parents have practically been mirrored entirely. In the comics, the leader of Alexandria was a man named Douglas, while it was remixed into the character Deanna for the show. There are quite a few things that didn't carry over from Douglas to Deanna, and the main thing here includes Douglas acting like a creep towards women. I mention this because Douglas actually tries flirting with Andrea while trying to give her special treatment in the early days of her getting to Alexandria. Now, Andrea turns him down instantly as he's married, and even if he wasn't, she wouldn't be interested in him anyways. This all comes into play as Spencer's first introduction into the comics actually involves his first conversation with Andrea. This took place in issue 72, during the welcoming party that was thrown for Rick's group in Alexandria. So Spencer is seen flirting with Andrea as well, complimenting her on her marksmanship. This is all actually really funny because Douglas sees this and approaches them, briefly interrupting their conversation as he mentions that Spencer is his son, which completely took Andrea by surprise. Now, I just thought that was kind of a funny way to introduce Spencer into the comics, and it wasn't really necessary for the show, so I can understand them not doing it. But anyways, the next day at Spencer's home, he has a conversation with his comic book mother, Regina, who brings up Douglas's party for Rick last night, mentioning how she saw Spencer with Andrea. This is where we officially get Spencer's age, as he annoyingly responds to his mother, telling her that he's 27 years old and that he doesn't need relationship advice. In my opinion, Spencer's reaction relates to the general stigma that Spencer apparently isn't very sexually active, regardless of the fact that apparently everyone thinks he's attractive. Even at the welcoming party, there were two women gossiping about how Spencer might actually be a homosexual like Aaron and Eric, while mentioning his good looks as well. The next time Andrea and Spencer speak is during issue 77, as Spencer catches her ending her first shift being lookout for Alexandria. He begins asking her how it's like being up in the bell tower all day, along with offering to lend out a few books and finally asking her out to dinner. She first acts surprised but responds happily by mentioning that she's up for it. And as they arrive at Spencer's home, he slightly embarrasses himself due to being nervous, but she quickly tells him to relax. They agree on what to have for dinner, somehow resulting in them almost kissing, but Andrea backs out of it at the last moment. In order to explain why, I've actually got to mention a quick side note. So in the comics, Andrea actually dated Dale from around the time that Andrea's sister Amy died, up until Dale's death himself. He outlived his TV show counterpart by quite a while, actually lasting until issue 66, getting TV show Bob's death. Andrea ended up putting him down out of mercy and hasn't gotten over him since. So to make a long explanation short, Andrea ended up rejecting Spencer's kiss due to the reminder of Dale and how much she misses him. Spencer tells her that it's alright and that he respects her for it. He continues to offer her dinner, saying how it doesn't have to be anything more than that. We later see them eating dinner and having small talk. Everything seems to be going smoothly until they notice Pete walking past their house with a knife. This of course ends up evolving into the altercation shown at the end of the season 5 finale during the TV show, having Pete's blind rage result in one of Spencer's parents being murdered along with Pete himself. In the comics, Spencer and Andrea catch up to Pete but sadly don't have a quick enough reaction time to prevent the damage done. Spencer tackles Pete in rage of what he just did but ends up backing off of him, allowing Rick to execute Pete right then and there at the orders of Douglas. A week or so later, during the beginning of the No Way Out story arc, Andrea actually gets stuck in the bell tower. Rick considers her more safe than the rest of them trapped inside Alexandria, but Spencer can't help but shake the feeling of her not getting out safely. After leaving Andrea in the bell tower overnight, multiple people continue to worry about her, brainstorming on how to help her in any way. Spencer randomly comes up with the idea of using Heath's mountain climbing rope to get over the fence and bring supplies to her. So together, Spencer, Heath, and Glenn all decide to climb over the wall with the rope to a nearby roof. Heath and Glenn make it across alright, but once Spencer gets just over halfway, the rope actually snaps. Heath and Glenn try to pull up Spencer, but just don't have enough strength. Andrea comes out of nowhere, saving the day and helping pull up Spencer to safety. This leaves the four of them stranded on the roof that they pulled Spencer onto, waiting everything out from the outside as they witness the zombies overrun Alexandria, effectively creating no way out for everyone except them. Later on, while Heath and Glenn get some rest, Spencer starts talking to Andrea about the idea of not going back. He tries convincing her that the two of them should just run off and live together, deserting everyone there along with everything that they've worked so hard to maintain. Andrea, being completely appalled by this, punches him in the face and declares that anything between them is over. This moment really showed Spencer's true colors to Andrea, helping her realize what a coward he is. And so, after they slaughter all the zombies in No Way Out, Spencer tries approaching Andrea while they're dragging all the bodies into piles to burn. She's shown to be in no mood to put up with Spencer's drama, who actually seems to understand as he decides to keep quiet and instead help her with their job. About a week later, he attempts bringing it up with her again, this time on the porch of her house. Although Spencer keeps insisting that they are compatible, she tells them that whatever they had is over. Polite at first, trying to explain that although what they had was important to Spencer, it wasn't special and it's over and done with. To end it off, she even needed to rudely tell Spencer to go away in order for him to get the message, resulting in him taking the walk of shame. Andrea is one of the most capable survivors out of every character in the comics. She is the best shot out of the group, she's incredibly smart, and she can stand her own ground. She's attracted to a man whose head is in an equal level as her, someone who won't back down and someone who can make smart decisions when the time comes. These characteristics are the complete opposite of Spencer Monroe and instead describe Rick Grimes. Andrea and Rick work really well together in the comics, as I'm sure fans of the graphic novel couldn't agree more. Sadly, Spencer isn't a fan of it, as he slowly grows more and more of a hatred towards Rick. Spencer tells Andrea that he's happy for her and Rick at one point, but his hatred just continues to grow on the both of them. In issue 106, while everyone is out searching for Carl, Spencer is greeted at the gates of Alexandria by one of the residents, a woman named Erin. Here, Spencer continues to spread his disbelief towards Rick's leadership. Erin actually backs up Rick in response to this, and calls out Spencer for being sour towards Rick ever since he started having a relationship with Andrea. As I mentioned in part 1 of my breakdown for Spencer, after the introduction of Rick Grimes into his life, it's just slowly been falling apart one way or another. Spencer figures that putting all the blame on Rick is somehow an acceptable thing to do, as he practically blames Rick for the apocalypse. Anyways, now that we've pretty much summarized his entire relationship with Andrea along with how it ended, let's break down how they remixed it towards Rosita in the show. I believe that ever since the season 6 premiere, we've occasionally seen Rosita and Spencer paired up or talking to each other, eventually resulting in some sort of casual relationship. First off, they were assigned together to watch over Alexandria while Rick and group led away the Mega Herd, which could have gotten them acquainted. And so in 602 JSS, Spencer consults Rosita on the idea of being able to continue on living, knowing the horrific truth of the outside world.
What happened today? That's what it's like out there?
Pretty much.
How do you How do you just live knowing that's the world?
She responds saying that you need people worth dying for, suggesting that you should always have someone you care about so you can keep pushing forward.
This group, Abraham in this place, make sure you got something worth dying for.
In episode 605 now, Spencer volunteers to take Carol's shift for guard duty, allowing him to approach Rosita at the wall and relieve her shift for her. Rosita is actually in the middle of crying, presumably over Abraham leaving her, but cleans herself up enough to strike up a brief convo with Spencer.
What?
I'm your relief.
Thought Carol was that?
She was. I volunteered to take her place.
She compliments him on his good job taking out that wolf truck driver that was attempting to ram into Alexandria back in JSS, and states that he should keep doing what he's doing, regardless of luck or skill.
You know, I never got a chance to say it, but you did good with the truck, taking out the driver. You know, if it weren't for you, this wall might not be standing right now.
I just got lucky.
Good or lucky, it doesn't really matter. Just keep doing what you're doing.
By episode 614, the opening scenes actually show Rosita getting dressed and quickly leaving after getting out of the same bed that Spencer is still sleeping in. This implies that they had some sort of one-night stand, with Rosita getting the heck out of Dodge the morning after. Later on, we see Spencer greeting Rosita, trying to invite her for dinner, just wanting to continue whatever they have going on. And after much reluctance, Rosita actually accepts having dinner just to pretty much get him off of her back, because of the sole reason that she doesn't know how to properly deal with him right now. Since then, we've seen them interacting with each other during season 7, but nothing too concrete. Episode 704 involves both of them going and getting Daryl's bike for Dwight, resulting in quite a few interesting conversations between them regarding their current beliefs for the situation they're in. Of course, Spencer uses this opportunity to trash talk Rick, but Rosita, she had other plans. Regardless, it ended with both of them arguing over how they should live their life and how they should deal with the saviors altogether. Although Rosita and Spencer have many differences, they understand each other seemingly in a way that really connects them together, and considering how brief these moments are, I wouldn't blame people for not picking up on this the first time around. Which reminds me, I'd also like to mention that a lot of people were shipping Daryl and Rosita, which, you know, now could honestly be put into serious consideration considering that Spencer's out of the way, but I feel like most people were completely glossing over Spencer and Rosita entirely. Yeah, they've had their arguments, like in episode 707 at the gates of Alexandria, but anger can be forgiven over time. And as we see during episode 708, Rosita stops Spencer on his way to go speak with the saviors, joking about him going on a hot date.
Hot date?
He explains to her that he wants to continue the good momentum that he has going on with the saviors.
I'm on a good momentum with them. Gonna try to use that.
Yeah? How?
By trying to get closer, just to start trying.
Okay.
And after telling Rosita what's going on in his head, he asks her about what's going on in her head about him.
Whatever it was, I thought we had something good. At least the beginning of something good. Why'd you end it? Why'd you even start it?
And you know, at this point, Rosita really has nothing to lose. She just wanted to get him off her back once again, but this time, she takes a more mature route and comes clean as to why she acted the way she did.
Just try not to think about shit. You're cute, tall, you're sweet sometimes. I used you. I'm sorry.
This clears up any confusion that Spencer had about the two of them and really resolves any sort of tension between them. So after Spencer has helped to understand her better, he still feels the confidence to ask her out to dinner again. He jokingly mentions no strings, suggesting that he really just wants to get together and talk over a meal.
Would you be up for dinner later? I really mean just dinner. No strings.
This gets a smile out of her as she happily agrees, ending the conversation between them.
All right.
Sadly, this was the last conversation that they ever had, which just makes Spencer's death even more tragic. And so Rosita is obviously fed up with Negan's shit, constantly killing people that she cares about, resulting in her little stunt that she pulled with Eugene's homemade bullet. If you'd like to hear a full review on that moment and the episode specifically, I've got a full review on my channel, but for now, let's focus more on the differences between Spencer's interactions with Rosita and Andrea. While Andrea ended up shutting down Spencer by the end of it, Rosita gives quite a different reaction. Now, it is fair to say that Spencer acts differently between his counterparts, and Rosita was never in a moment with him where he suggested deserting everyone, so I guess we'll go easy on her for now. Either way, it just seems like no matter how hard Spencer tries to finally gain a spouse, it just never turns out the way he wants to. And on top of that, his actions resulting in his death were only a matter of time, giving him no happy ending regardless of who cares about him. Thank you guys so much for watching the conclusion of my Spencer Monroe breakdown and analysis. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, be sure to head over there afterwards. But either way, feel free to leave your opinions in the comments section below. I've said just about all that I can possibly say about Spencer, but if there's anything you'd like to add in, let me know. Also, to any new viewers, I definitely appreciate you hitting that subscribe button if you've agreed with anything I've said today, as I'll always be posting more and more Walking Dead content in the future. That's pretty much it though, guys. I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace out.
You know, I never got a chance to say it, but, you did good with the truck, taking out the driver. You know, if it weren't for you, this wall might not be standing right now.
I just got lucky.
Good or lucky, it doesn't really matter. Just keep doing what you're doing.